Hello and welcome back. This lesson is all about world building and making sure the author's world is believable. All fiction has some world building, and it's imperative to keep it accurate and consistent. There must be strict rules in place for the story to be believable. When working with real places, we need to ensure the streets, distances, town and city layouts, highways driven on, the time it takes to get from one place to another are all accurate. When using fictional places or a combination of both, you still need to ensure the accuracy for these real places and consistency according to your rules for the fictional places. If the bathroom is on an apartment is on the right when coming from the bedroom, it needs to be that way throughout the novel. The same thing goes for planets and space stations, magic and tech. Everything needs to be consistent. A character can have one eye, three eyes, no eyes, 8 arms, or scales, whatever you can think of. But if there's a scene where a character with 8 arms has all of them being used and they pick up something else, that would mean that they have 9 arms and the reader won't believe it. Maybe the gun a character is using holds 7 bullets, and you know this either by researching it or because you stated it, but the character fires 8 times and doesn't run out, so it's not believable either. If magic and special powers are used in the book, there's more freedom, but there still needs to be strict rules to follow. Let's say a character can change their appearance to anyone they see. But in one scene, they change from someone they've never seen before. This is inconsistent. If you're adding a power, then something will need to be stated about it, either by the character themselves or another. However, if it isn't a new ability, then you're going to leave a comment to yourself to possibly alter who they morphed into. Watch out for the out of thin air situations, like someone's chasing down a bad guy and wow, there's a knife laying on the sidewalk. What luck! It's too convenient. The reader won't believe it. So there always needs to be a reasonable explanation for how a character solves a problem or gets out of a situation. While some rules like this can't be broken, other rules can. Like if a species or group of people have a specific power, usually only 1 or 2 characters can be special. The protagonist or the antagonist, or both. It's possible even that a group the main character finds out exists have multiple characters as well. And these are probably going to be the outcasts. In Veronica Roth's Divergent series, Triss is introduced to a group of people like her that she didn't even know existed. So in Roth's world, there are multiple outcasts which break the rules. If you break continuity, it should be integral to the storyline. If your novel contains real places, you need to research the layouts, travel times, intersecting roads, building heights, and double check these during editing to ensure accuracy. If they aren't accurate, make a comment and state the facts you found. If there are fictional places used, make sure the layouts, characters, physical traits, etc. stay the same. Mark any inaccuracies that you find or inconsistencies so you can fix them later. Consistency equals believability. If rules are broken not by the protagonist, antagonist, or a group of outcasts, note it and make a suggestion as to how you can alter it later. If rules are broken and a character doesn't address this, note it. Make sure you set up strict rules for your characters and the world that they live in. So, how can we keep all this world building straight? Style sheets are the simplest way to keep track of everything. It's a simple fill-in-the-blank document. While editors usually make these during copy editing, I think it's the best to start as soon as possible. It will provide you with a quick reference. Now there are programs like Campfire and Babisco that are great as well, but style sheets are easily downloaded, cost nothing, and require no tech know-how. If you haven't downloaded mine yet, feel free to do that now. Style sheets help you keep track of people, places, items, and world building. I'm going to show you an example. I'm not breaking out their confidentiality here. This is simply my example. So first we want to start with a list of characters and brief descriptions. Only put on those characters who are significant to the storyline. Notice there is a group family section as well as names and key details. So in this example, Sarah Sullivan is the name of the main character. She's got straight black hair, she's 18, funny, and her powers are a seer and a jumper. Claire Sullivan is her mother. She's got short black bobbed hair, and she's part of the red group. Now, Gemma Sullivan is Sarah's other mother. She's got blonde hair, big curls in it. She's tall, and she's also part of the red group. Geography section will contain country layouts, description of towns, buildings, dwellings, but only the pertinent ones. If it's simply mentioned that the character's from the new state of Texas and it has no bearing on the story, then it doesn't need to be documented here. So in my example, I have Harkville, which is where Sarah has grown up. It's a quaint town in Maine. The older buildings are brick and slatted wood. Then she moves on to a castle, which is surrounded by low stone walls. The dining hall was once a great hall. All rooms have fireplaces, and the library is opposite the dining hall, and it's approximately the same size. So the dining hall being opposite the library is important because if a character leaves one to go to the other and takes a right or takes a left, then it's inconsistent. Timeline is the next part, where important points and shifts are going to be added here. It can be used for things like 1952 as the start of the story and then 10 years later for chapter 1. If on a shorter time scale, each day can be tracked or scenes that happen in the morning or night. You don't want to have the characters having a discussion at 10 a.m. immediately leave and it's dark outside. Now that is a very detailed timeline, but if the story takes place in only a few weeks, it might help. So in my story, the start of the novel is in fall. It's after school when Claire is taken and Emmy is picked up by, or Sarah is picked up by Emmy and taken to the castle. And the next morning, Sarah meets other main characters that are going to be there, so I put those in there. And she starts her physical training and finally gets her seer powers. Now 1 week later, she's going to find out that her mother Gemma is missing, not dead. So this part is a week later is going to spark her to travel on to a new side adventure. Now, items, magic, and tech comprise the next section. Anything like powers, power for objects, spaceships, special herbs should go in this as long as it's significant. So in this example, seeing is important because it's one of the abilities, and they can only see other people in their current state and only if they have a picture. They can also jump from one place to another, but again, they have to have that picture. So if it's an aerial view, they're going to pop out at that height and they're going to have a very long fall. I believe style sheets are extremely helpful in the developmental editing process, but it's one thing that isn't necessary to perform one. To recap, the key elements of a developmental edit are looking at your manuscript from a reader's perspective. You're going to evaluate point of view and tone, your message, characters, character arcs, plot, pacing, cliffhangers, and chapter hooks, as well as world building. And you're going to take time to think about these improvements that you jotted down ideas on, because editing is a multiple round process and it does take some time. It's easy to get distracted and start editing in detail these big issue items, but in this round, we're just making comments and suggestions, leaving an idea about how to enhance your novel. The purpose of a developmental edit is to assess the big picture from a distance, keeping the reader engagement and enjoyment at the forefront, but then figure out how to fix any issues that you find later. If you have questions, contact me using any of these options through my email or contact me page. I usually respond within 24 hours. Congratulations, you've reached the end of this course. I hope the information has been helpful in your developmental editing journey. I'll place my contact information up for a few moments in case you're jotting things down. Happy editing!